Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Forages are the foundation of a successful cattle program. We'll tell you how Corteva Agriscience's commitment to range and pasture management can help you elevate the condition of your pastures and make the most of each grazing season.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Thanks for joining us. No matter where you graze cattle in our country, good forage plays a crucial role in the health, productivity, and overall profitability of your cattle operation. As the value of forages has increased, so has the value of good pasture management, including weed and brush control. Today, we're coming to you from the Indianapolis, Indiana headquarters of Corteva Agriscience, the industry leader in range and pasture products. Joining me now is Damon Palmer, marketing leader, U.S. Specialties at Corteva. Damon, thanks for coming today.
Hey, welcome to Indianapolis and welcome to Corteva.
Thank you. An organization like yours has lots of options in terms of row crops and fruits and vegetables to invest resources. Why do you continue to invest so significantly in improving the range and pastures of this country and around the world?
Well, if you step back and look at it, range and pasture is actually the number one land use in the United States. And so there's a lot of potential for the land and also a lot of value we can return to cattle producers. We also look at it from a global perspective. We have a global footprint, being a U.S.-based company.
Sure.
We also operate in countries that are cattle producers as well, provide them solutions. So it's a really important focus for us from a market segment perspective around the world, but also here in the U.S.
So let's talk specifically, what kinds of losses can weeds and brush create for cattle producers?
Yeah, so the losses are real. And sometimes it's a little bit harder for people to understand those losses compared to a corn or soybean field where they see that yield loss on the yield monitor.
Yep.
But there's many studies out there that have shown that, for every pound of weeds that are in a pasture, you can lose up to 1.5 pounds of forages.
Wow.
And also, if you look at brush and tree encroachment, there's been multiple university studies that have shown over almost a 30-year period, there's been $5 billion in forage loss over that time period from that encroachment. So the losses are real, as well as just overall pasture health, which add up as well.
And when you talk about pasture health, clearly one of the things we've been wrestling with is drought. And my experience is weeds grow well, even in drought times. So now we're experiencing this record low, 60-year low of beef cattle production because of drought. A lot of us are looking to expand our cow herds. Why is it so important to take care of our range and pastures in advance of that expansion?
Well, you're exactly right, Kevin. So weeds do thrive in drought. And also, as you come out of a drought and your forage base may be lower because of that stress, weeds can actually come in more aggressively. So it's really important to start to manage those and invest on the front end of this recovery. So there's immediate benefit today, but also pasture improvement and pasture health can take years. And so if people are looking forward to increasing that herd size, we want to make sure pastures are ready when the herd size expands.
So tell us about some of the products and services that Corteva Agrisciences offers that can help producers like me.
So there are a wide range of options in the Corteva portfolio. If we start with just, I'll call it herbicides and general weed control, Duracor was recently launched over the last several years, probably the broadest, most flexible broadleaf weed control product producer can use in their pastures. Yeah. We also recently launched Grazing PD3, okay, which builds on the product that producers have used for years, Grazing P plus D, but brings them a lower use rate, lower volatility, and other key benefits. And so Grazing PD3 is something that we've seen great uptake in the last year as well to complement Duracor. We also look at our brush treatment. Okay. We talked about brush encroachment and how severe that can be depending on where you're at in the country. Sendero is a key mesquite, industry-leading mesquite product. We've got Spike 20P that we offer as well. So we've got a broad range of brush control solutions, including Remedy. And then we've also launched a few services over the last several years that include our UltiGraze pasture weed and feed. which allows the producer to go out and fertilize and control their weeds at the same time. And then also Landvisor, which is a mesquite service treatment, which allows a producer really to pinpoint their mesquite treatments where they're going to get the highest return on investment. So really a broad portfolio that we were able just to highlight a few of the key products there, but a broad portfolio really to meet rancher needs across the country.
And speaking of services, those services are many times brought to us by the very capable people you have in the field. Let's talk a little bit about the human resources you offer to help folks solve problems with their range and forage.
Yeah, so a big part of our investment in the business is in our people. And we've got people across the country to really help producers meet their objectives. And one thing that's really special and unique about the cattle industry and rangeland and pasture is that it's a little bit different where you're at in the country. Right. And that is maybe the weeds or brush they're battling, but also maybe just their objectives of managing the land. And so it's really our local team paired up with our local retailers that help bring that to what the rancher's looking for.
Tell us a little bit about how your organization works with producers to identify future needs for products and services.
Yeah, so the development timeline for a new herbicide or any crop protection product is over a decade. Wow. And so it starts with our local team and our local field research and development people understanding the needs of the producer, but also trying to look past today and what those needs may be in the future. And so we do that through various forms of interaction with organizations like NCBA, local cattlemen's organizations. We actually have a group of pro ranchers that we rely on for input. And so it's a multi-pronged approach to make sure we understand producers' needs today, but also what do we expect 10 years, 12 years from now?
We appreciate that partnership and look forward to connecting with you more a little later in the show.
Great.
Corteva Agriscience has a comprehensive suite of products that can help nearly any rangeland or pasture situation. You can also work with a Corteva range and pasture specialist to develop a long-term solution that aligns with your forage goals. You can find your local rep at the website rangeandpasture.com/specialist. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll look at Corteva's research and development process and how it helps farmers and ranchers solve their range and pasture problems. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Enjoy premium performance with John Deere 6R tractors. Get the right power to weight ratio and even more power when you need it with a 10% power bulge and an additional boost with intelligent power management. Choose from multiple transmission and operator station options. Blow out chaff with the reversible fan. Work faster and better with John Deere integrated technologies. Ask your John Deere dealer about our 6R tractors.
Welcome back to this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen as we talk about the value of grass and forage resources. We're at the Indianapolis, Indiana headquarters of Corteva Agriscience, the industry leader in range and pasture products. I'm joined now by Byron Slew, Corteva's global leader of weed management biology and field science. Byron, tell us, why does Corteva continue to spend so much time and energy and effort focused on range and pasture?
That's a great question as to why we spend this much time overall focusing on range and pasture. We're an innovation company, so overall we're focused on innovation and research and development, but to the mission of our company, which is really to enrich the lives of those who produce and those who consume, and ensuring that for generations to come, it means we have to innovate. We can't do it like we did 100 years, 50 years, 30 years ago. And so at the core of what we do is the innovation, the R&D, and range and pasture is at the center of that, simply because around the globe, 40% of the Earth's surface is covered by grasslands. 70% of agricultural land is grassland. And so for us, it's an important part for our business, for our customers, and the people who are having to manage all of that land. And so if we are going to provide solutions, it means we have to be invested in the research that it's going to take to provide the solutions to those land managers or ranchers and farmers.
And I think those statistics, that 70% of the world's land mass covered by grass, is such an important and essential one. Frankly, not all of your competitors focus this much on range and forage. Is it unique in terms of the amount of time you focus on range and forage?
It is unique from a global R&D company like ours to be focused as much as we do, because there are other crops that, based on the overall value and the acreage, there's more focus on those. The row crops. We know corn, soybeans, wheat, and so on. For us, this is a market where we are dedicated to those customers because they're not just, in many cases, not just grazing cattle, but they're also growing corn, soybean, wheat, and so on. So there are these integrated facilities or enterprises that are out there. But the history of our company goes back for decades, where we have been focused on range and pasture, and it remains the same today, where that's an integral part of what we do.
So you've invited us to spend the day at this industry-leading research and development facility. Tell us what this facility means to your R&D effort.
This facility is huge as far as our overall R&D efforts. So focused primarily on what we do for crop protection. Right here is the heart of our crop protection discovery efforts. As a global company, of course, we have research facilities spread out all around the globe, but this is really the nexus of those activities, the largest number of our R&D associates in the one location, as well as the facilities that are here, multiple acres under greenhouses, state-of-the-art labs, automation in labs, but also just the people who are here that are focused on what's the next generation of solutions for weed management, insect management, disease management, the wide spectrum of solutions that our customers might need.
As farmers and ranchers, we see the product when it's in the jug. But tell our viewers a little bit about the process that leads up to the development and ultimate registration of products.
That's a great question. By the time a customer sees the jug, we have already invested hundreds of millions of dollars and anywhere from 10 to sometimes 15 years before they see the jug or what's in the jug. So before we even get to what's going to be in the jug, we've got to try to figure out what is the question we're trying to answer? What's the problem we're trying to solve? And a really good example of this, Proclova is a really great example of this. In more than 2 decades of doing this, I always sheepishly have one answer when a customer or a farmer, somebody would ask me, what do you have that will control Canada thistle, musk thistle, but not kill my clover? And you kind of have to shrink away and say nothing, because we've got great herbicides, but they'll kill your clover. And over multiple years, multiple different iterations, that was always one of our research goals, is to be able to deliver the efficacy that the customer would want. Right. So you'll kill the weed, but how do you keep the clover around? And so that was the driver behind the development of Proclova, for example. So, the development is based on what we know the customers need, because we don't really subscribe to build it and they will come necessarily. Right. You want to know what it is that they want so that when you build it, they do come. Yeah.
I know Corteva has a strong commitment to sustainability. I'm curious, how does that commitment to sustainability impact what you do from R&D standpoint?
That's a great question. Sustainability now is fully ingrained in everything that we do in R&D. We have sustainability goals that are even in our product goals that we have. So that is everything from the active ingredients that we're developing, the packaging, the formulations, the manufacturing sites. All of those are factored in and are based on the UN sustainability goals. And we don't just meet those goals, we work to exceed them. So in many cases, and particularly when you think about range and pasture, for most people, when they think natural area, what comes to mind would be the open fields, grasslands, wildlife habitat areas. And we develop products in our range and pasture portfolio that go into those sites, not just to kill a weed, but what impact do you then have on the biodiversity in that area, the wildlife, the ecosystem services? So we've talked about all of these products and how they fit in. They align with our sustainability goals. Proclova that I mentioned before, one of the active ingredients, Rinskor Active, fits directly into that. low use rate, reduced risk registration with the US EPA. We're using this at rates where other active ingredients, even in the same mode of action family, would be applied at 10, 15, 30 times the use rate. And this is our focus and our commitment to those who produce and those who consume, is that they should feel comfortable when they see how we are doing R&D and also what farmers are using in producing the food that they eat.
Well, I want to say thank you for your career-long dedication to the range and forage industry. Thank you for inviting us to this incredible research and development center here. And thank you and your organization for all you do on behalf of those of us that ranch.
You're very welcome. Great to have you here.
Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll show you some exciting technology from Corteva that can help you better manage your land and fight back against invasive brush. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
No matter what part of the country they live in, cow-calf producers depend on adequate grass and forage for their cattle. However, invasive species can be a major threat to the profitability of a cattle operation. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brian Baxter has a look at that problem and some of the ways that producers can fight invasive species and increase their forage production.
From mesquite trees and cactus in the Southwest to cedar trees, locust, and hedge in the Great Plains, invasive woody plants and brush take up moisture and sunlight, crowding out grass and making them the enemies of good cattle grazing.
A recent study conducted by a number of land-grant college or universities and other researchers have shown that the encroachment of woody plant species in the western United States has accounted for a forage loss between 1990 and 2019 to account for about $5 billion worth of forage loss. That forage loss accounts for roughly around 332 million tons of forage. So it's extremely important to control woody plant species. Oftentimes what happens is an individual sees the brush and thinks that it's a problem that's fixing to happen, and oftentimes it's left untreated. That particular situation where it's left untreated develops into a problem that's much more significant, harder to control, and much more impactful when it comes to forage production. Corteva is extremely fortunate to have one of the most diverse portfolios in terms of products that you can address brush. We've got products that give you the flexibility to tailor and address specific needs, but we also have products that give you the flexibility to treat at different windows. So an example of that would be Remedy and Remedy Ultra.
Benny Martinez works with ranchers and landowners in Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas. Here, the threat posed to grass production by mesquite is clear.
It's a problem because it's really built for this type of environment. It can withstand droughts. It can withstand just seasonal rain opportunities. It's a very opportunistic plant. It's a plant that is highly competitive, utilizes moisture very extensively throughout a long period of time during the growing season. So competitive-wise, it's highly competitive against forages.
Mesquite creates lots of problems with canopy cover and not letting grass grow. So it's just a constant battle of trying to get rid of it. It's important to control the brush just to create more grazing, more open area for cattle and wildlife itself too.
Callahan Ranch stretches across 90,000 acres in South Texas brush country. They graze a cow-calf herd and lease a significant portion of their land for hunting. And they have a never-ending fight against mesquite.
We usually shred back years ago. And here in recent years, we've been using herbicide more just because it's something you can come in here and spray once and forget about it for a little while if you're mechanical, you got to come back and shred every year, and it hurts a pocketbook. And some of our big pastures, we've been spraying aerial spraying, and we've been spraying strips across the whole pasture. So the strip is 350 foot wide, and we'll skip 700 foot and then do another 350 foot wide strip. Basically, this creates, you still leave some of your habitat for deer, some grazing for cattle, and create that edge in between strips.
Those large strips of mesquite have been sprayed from the air with Sendero herbicide from Corteva.
Sendero tends to be much more selective, and that's really important for producers in the Southwest. We're often in a place where we have to manage for not only cattle but for wildlife as well. The wildlife component is a significant revenue source for South Texas ranchers. And because it is a significant revenue source, we have to be mindful of those secondary species that are very important to wildlife. Sendero gives you the flexibility to be very targeted when it comes to treating mesquite. It will selectively target mesquite, but it's fairly safe on some of those other desirable species that are really, really important from a wildlife perspective.
Sendero's been really good. I mean, it's been, over the years, we've sprayed it for probably the last 8 years now, and we've had really good response over the years. It's a very economical way to get rid of mesquite.
The Callahan Ranch team also uses IPT, or individual plant treatments, in areas where mesquite stands are less dense or to maintain areas after an aerial application. The result has been a solid kill on targeted plants and a significant increase in their grass production.
The economics today are really, really good when it comes to trying to implement a brush control program, especially as you consider what it costs to replace that land. Target that brush before it becomes a significant problem. The cost of economics is pretty good in terms of your return on investment, because land is not cheap. It's often very economical when you start considering the cost of a treatment versus replacing that land with new land that's open and productive.
One of the game changers in the fight to control mesquite has been a powerful tool from Corteva called LandVisor Advanced Brush Management.
LandVisor offers a solution that helps address targeting brush in a more systematic approach. It allows us to look at the landscape in a different way that we've never been able to look at the landscape. And it also allows us to be very targeted in terms of the application timing that really result in better performance of the herbicide treatment.
I came across LandVisor, actually Benny Martinez brought it up to our attention, and I really liked the program itself. I mean, it was a great program. Looking at it, kind of helps you target the spots of more density, where mesquite's more dense.
LandVisor uses mapping, data points, digital technology, and remote sensing to provide insights that help ranchers and land managers customize their approach to targeting plants and spraying brush.
LandVisor, yes, it helps us make some real good decisions on where we want to spray, when we want to spray, and what part of the pasture is the most productive.
It gives what we call actionable insights that allow the producer to see various maps to show them where mesquite density exists on their pasture. It also has the opportunity to overlay different layers, so you can see your soil types and your mesquite density overlaid to get a really good feel for where it might be most appropriate to implement a strategy to control brush in an existing area to get a better return on investment.
Aimed first at mesquite, LandVisor will ultimately be a tool land managers across the country will be able to use against a variety of invasive species. In Texas, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
It's never too soon to evaluate your grazing plans and work towards increased forage production. If you'd like more information about LandVisor and how it can help you make better, more profitable decisions, then visit the website landvisor.com and request a demo. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll dig deeper into the dollars and cents of why producers should invest in their pastures and rangeland. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
CattleCon 24 is marching onward to Orlando, January 31st to February 2nd, 2024. Have your say in the future of the industry, network with fellow producers, or connect with friendly faces. Plus, the NCBA trade show will be on site with over 385,000 square feet of the latest and greatest in the cattle business to help your operation stay competitive and sustainable. Learn more at convention.ncba.org.
Sound pasture management is just as important as a good vaccine protocol or a feed and mineral program. Yet it often gets less attention. Here's a look at how quality grazing influences health and productivity in ways both obvious and subtle, and how forages are foundational to bringing heavier, healthier calves to market.
Sustainability is more than a goal, it's a lifestyle at Carter Cattle Company. Veterinarians Will and Monty Carroll Carter are continuing a tradition that was started by their family around a century ago in this part of South Central Alabama.
We've been here for several generations. I'm 6, my kids are 7. Family settled here in the late 1800s and been running cows most of that time. We love what we do. We love the cattle business and we love caring for land.
Around 250 miles to the north, in south central Tennessee, is Deer Valley Farm. Jonathan Perry is the longtime general manager of this well-known registered Angus seed stock operation.
We are in the genetics business, basically. We raise commercial bulls and registered females to sell across the country. We run about 2,000 head of registered Angus cattle on the place and have been very fortunate to build what we believe is one of the strongest Angus cow families and cattle operations in the country.
Grazing is an integral part of these operations. Both understand the important role of good grass to the long-term success of their businesses and are willing to put in the time and effort to properly manage this valuable resource.
Our cow herd pretty much lives year-round on forages that we can grow and produce and raise here on the farm. Our forage program is extremely important to us. To be able to manage 2,000 head yearly on bought feed products is not feasible at all. So we have to do a very good job of taking care of the forages and the land. So everything we do from a forage standpoint is intended to make the ground more productive, to make it work for us, to create some sustainability in what we do every day and the land that basically supports us.
We're really managers of grass. We're in the grass business. We use cows to harvest it, but our focus is mostly on the grass, really. So in order to manage our grasses better, we've installed a lot of electric fence and also a lot of pipeline and water troughs so that they have access to water and so that we can rotate those cattle as needed. That allows us to better manage grasses because we can give them the rest they need and we can get them grazed at the period where they're highest in nutrition at different times of the year.
As the demands on forage increase, not only does grazing have to be properly managed, but weed and brush control is critical as well.
We also do a fair amount of weed control when needed. We use several products in the right time of the year to keep that pasture clean and to keep the grass thick, and that prevents future weeds.
When the grass is managed right, when the weeds are controlled, we have a better grass mat, we have less erosion, things work better. It's much more sustainable and basically the ground works as God intended it to.
While toxic weeds in a pasture certainly can affect herd health, the bigger role of pasture is how quantity and quality of grass impacts cow body condition. Specifically, body condition affects breedback, milk production, daily gains, and the immune system of both cow and calf.
If the cow's not in great body condition, she's not cycling, she's not going to get pregnant. We expect 85% to have calved in the first 45 days of calving season. We're selling pounds of beef, is what it comes down to, and so the easiest way to do that is age of calf. And so if we can get more calves at the very beginning of the calving season and keep them there, it's just much more profitable for us in the long run And if she's not in good body condition, she's not putting a lot of protein and antibodies in that colostrum, which sets us up for weak calves. And weak calves are set for sickness, they grow less, and they've proven to have health problems their entire lives. You're trying to catch up at that point, and it's very expensive to try and catch up, and you will never be, at least for us, you will never be as successful as if you'd just done a little preventative maintenance and kept the cow in better body condition going in.
Proper pasture management has as much to do with health in the cattle as anything we do. Obviously, if an animal's rumen is working right, if their body's physiologically doing what it's supposed to do, they're healthier, they take care of their cells much better, their immune systems work much better. And as long as we manage those forages, it's a huge aid in helping us manage the cattle throughout the year.
With more than 70 years of range and pasture improvement products and services, Corteva Agriscience is the industry-leading provider of weed and brush management solutions.
Corteva products are imperative for what we do to manage the forage. Obviously, good, healthy pasture is a key to our success, and without them, we would absolutely be in a problematic situation.
We have been very pleased over the years with Corteva products. They always seem to be very innovative, and they're always coming up with something better and new to fix a problem that we have. And we appreciate that, and we appreciate the investment they make into this industry.
Emphasizing good grazing and healthy pastures can provide you with an abundant, high-quality forage base. This helps cows more efficiently meet their own nutritional needs and that of their calves.
A good forage program not only gives us the gains that we need, but it ensures that the cattle are healthy, that things work right inside the cow's body, and we can get her bred back, and we can keep her nursing calves and do the things that she's meant to do.
I'm a veterinarian, and I can tell you, just from a business standpoint, when all you're doing is treating pneumonia, pulling calves, treating sick calves, that's not profit. The preventative is way more profitable. And so whether that's a solid vaccine program, a solid nutrition program, they all work hand in hand, and they're gonna set you up for success. And for us, a strong forage base is the base of everything else. Everything else feeds into that.
I'm Brad Bulla reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
For more information on how high-quality grazing can influence the health of your cattle and their productivity, a great resource is the website rangeandpasture.com. Still ahead, we'll examine the Environmental Stewardship Award Program and the value those winners bring to the beef cattle industry. Stay with us.
Show your pride in America's beef farmers and ranchers with the all-new Support American Cattle Producers t-shirt from Magnolia Loom. Every shirt we make is 100% grown, sewn, and printed right here in the USA by our family-run small business. We use only the highest quality cotton from Georgia farmers to ensure that our products support American agriculture. Visit magnolialoom.com and click Shop to buy your Support American Cattle Producers t-shirt today.
This beef quality assurance tip is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
Hi, Jolie Fitzsimons here to talk to you today about the Beef Quality Assurance Program and our online BQA modules. If you've been certified online before, you can now go back and look up your certificate or get recertified online. Go to bqa.org under the Certification tab to get logged in. Don't worry if you forgot your password. You can reset it on the site or reach out to customer support for assistance. If you've never been certified before, we'd love for you to head to bqa.org today and get signed up.
The Beef Quality Assurance Program is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
As you're evaluating your pasture conditions and planning for the next grazing season, you might consider a product that allows you to apply herbicide along with fertilizer all in one easy pass. We visit north central Arkansas for a look at AldiGraze, an exciting technology that can put more grass in your fields and more money in your pocket.
Growing more grass gives cattle producers their lowest cost opportunity to put more pounds on their cattle. That, however, is often easier said than done.
Producers need to pay attention to the weeds in the pastures because they are crowding out competing good forages. Every bite of grass that cow takes or that stock or calf takes, you want it to be something that's going to be nutritious and is going to lead to putting pounds of beef on that animal's skeleton.
Weed control is a big deal. You know, when it gets hot and dry in the summertime, if that grass is having to compete with a lot of weeds, you're losing all that. That's our number one fight is weeds.
For every pound of weeds you have in your pasture, that's going to remove 1 to 1.5 pounds of grass. And many of these weeds are not palatable to cattle, and some of them are even robbing your yields because they will cause grazing avoidance. They have stickers and they're a pain for cattle, so cattle will tend to avoid them. If you have weeds, you don't have as much forage for your cattle production. Either you're going to have to reduce your carrying capacity, so you'll have to sell off cattle earlier than you wanted to, or you'll have to purchase feed and hay, and forage grown in your pastures is often the lowest cost forage you have. So if you have poor forage, you have to buy more hay. That's more expensive for your bottom line.
Fertilizing pastures is a tool many producers use to boost forage growth, but fertilizer alone does not address the issues of weed control.
Most of our producers fertilize their hay fields religiously, and then pastures can, are as needed. If they're stocking more cattle, they'll fertilize their pastures, and that just helps them grow more grass and raise more cattle. On pastures, if they put fertilizer on their pastures or hay fields and no weed control, they're growing pounds of weeds also. And so with some weed controls, it makes a big difference on their production.
Most of the producers in my area that are truly trying to realize a net profit are very interested in all the aspects of pasture management, and they're always looking for new ways to do things.
New Ultigraze pasture weed and feed from Corteva Agriscience allows farmers and ranchers to address both pasture fertility and weed control at the same time, and at the right time.
Ultigraze is our new service offering whereby certified Ultigraze pasture weed and feed retailers can deliver both your fertility needs and your weed control in one pass. Historically, what we've needed to do is to go over your pasture with a fertilizer application and then come back with a second separate application to spray for your weeds. This is a process whereby we can combine the two, saving you the cost of a second application and delivering not only fertility but weed control at the same time.
The advantage of that for our farmers are window of application. Sometimes there's only 2 hours a week that's fit to go out and spray because the wind's blowing, chance of rain's coming, something like that. The benefit on putting it in the fertilizer is the window of application is a lot broader. It gives them more chance to get out and get the product applied in a timely fashion.
You get your fertilizer put on, you get some nutrients added to your soil, and you're getting weed control that they never could get before. And they're getting it early enough to do a good job. They're not waiting till the weeds are mature, and then sometimes we'd have failures with herbicides, and lots of times it was due because they were spraying too late. Now they're getting timely applications of herbicide and getting fertilizer on both at the proper timing, and it's been just a win-win for using both of those technologies.
For Brandon Olson and his customers, seeing pasture health is only one benefit of Ultigraze. Not only does the one-pass application process save time, but since cattle don't have to be moved off pastures before or after treatment, it also saves in labor.
The results we've seen have been very, very good, better than we had assumed, because most of this research has been 85 to 90% control compared to spraying. We're seeing 100% control of spraying just because they're getting out there earlier when the weeds are smaller. All our customers have been very happy with the results that they've received. We believe that the impregnating fertilizer is as accurate as spraying, if not more accurate, just because of the evenness you get, and it doesn't matter if the wind's blowing 10, 12 mile an hour. You can get right up next to the fence and know that that's where it stops. So that's a good benefit.
I had 60 acres that I used it on in the spring. I think we got it on at the last of March, maybe 1st of April, which this year I intend on using it, getting out there a little quicker. We was having a bit of a thistle issue. We was having some ragweed issue. And so we used it, and on that 60 acres this year, I don't think I had 3 thistles on the whole deal. There was no ragweed whatsoever. My grass was, thicker, better, a lot healthier. Once we got the weeds out of the way, the grass kind of come along and blanketed and covered the ground. And I feel like my cattle done better. They stayed healthier, looked better. It just lets you keep your grass in better shape to withstand a drought, the adverse effect of the weather might put on it.
If you talk about a healthy stand of grass being a very good mechanism to suppress weeds, then you ask, okay, what goes into keeping and maintaining a healthy stand of grass? So obviously it all begins with the soil test to know what the fertility needs are. When we talk about establishing a healthy pasture, it's fertility, it's weed control. When we talk about maintaining a healthy pasture, that's when we start getting into rotational grazing, not overgrazing, and making sure that that pasture goes into the fall a healthy, vigorous stand of grass.
Ultigraze pasture weed and feed is exciting technology to help pastures thrive. It is available through a network of certified applicators in 22 states.
As a producer, if you're dealing with a certified Ultigraze weed and feed retailer, what you know is that retailer has gone through extensive education and training so that they know how to do the blending of the herbicide onto the fertilizer. They're using dedicated equipment and they have the highest standards of product stewardship. So you know you're going to be getting the fertility needs you are desiring, and you're going to be getting the appropriate herbicide for your individual pasture needs. If you happen to have your own application equipment, whether it's a truck or a buggy, and it's dedicated to pasture, then you will be able to go to your Ultigraze retailer, get your blended impregnated fertilizer, and you'll be able to deliver it on and to apply it to your own pastures.
We're here to help our producers, make them be more productive. They have a few more cows, that means they have a little bit more money to spend and more pickups to drive, and it helps the economy all the way around.
Reporting from Harrison, Arkansas, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
And joining us once again is Damon Palmer of Corteva Agriscience. Damon, let's begin by talking a little bit about Corteva's commitment to sustainability.
Sure. Like many companies, Corteva has sustainability commitments. I think what really makes Corteva different is our ability and desire to link those goals to our producers and using our technology, our services, our products to help increase sustainability on the land for farmers and ranchers.
So what role does good range and pasture management play in helping producers achieve their individual sustainability goals?
So it starts with knowing what the objectives of the farmer, the rancher are. And when you get into the cattle industry and pasture management, those really do vary across the country. And so we start with understanding what those objectives are and then customizing a solution to help them meet those objectives.
I know so many other producers join me in our gratefulness to Corteva for your years of support of the Environmental Stewardship Award program. Why is that program so important to this organization?
Well, we go back, I think, to the beginning or close to the beginning as a sponsor. And it's been a sponsorship that has weathered multiple companies and the test of time. And I think it really does show the importance of this to Corteva. When we think about the benefits of ESAP, to me it's a platform. It's a platform for us to be able to communicate all the good things that farmers and ranchers are doing back home to a broader geography for city dwellers or people that maybe don't know exactly what's going on that farm and ranch.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, what do you think it really means to the industry? You have an opportunity to visit not only with beef cattle producers, but also lots of friends and neighbors in suburban Indianapolis. Why is this program so critical to the future of the beef industry?
I think it shows what the beef industry is today, which is an industry that is focused on animal welfare. Yeah. It's focused on improving land health. And I think being able to communicate to a broader audience the fact that farmers and ranchers are probably some of the first people that were focused on sustainability as they've passed these farms and ranches to other generations.
So let's talk about how you're helping other producers beyond the Environmental Stewardship Award winners improve their land and natural resources.
Well, it's really taking the same principles that we see in the ESAP winners and the ESAP videos, and more broadly communicating and leveraging some of those things to producers around the country. And from a Corteva perspective, trying to leverage around the world as we focus on range and pasture as a key market for us globally.
We appreciate your ongoing commitment to sustainability and our industry. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Now, let's take a look at the latest national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award, the Carter Cattle Company of Alabama.
The sustainability legacy of Carter Cattle Company began when their family settled in this part of Alabama in the 1820s. Veterinarians Will and Monty Carroll are the 6th generation to steward this land, and that tradition lives on in their kids. 75% of the Carter's land is located within the Pintlala watershed, and the family has built more than 1,300 feet of fencing to keep cattle out of the creek. They have also installed new water lines and troughs to ensure cattle always have adequate drinking water and can graze uniformly. Every day, the Carter family works to improve their environmental footprint, and the practices they use today will ensure the farm remains in the family for generations to come.
I think we have embraced the calling of stewardship because we love the land. It's hard not to do something that you love, so it comes natural for us. Some days are hard, but you love what you do, and it's so worthwhile. And with stewardship, just some small practices. The things we do aren't hard, they aren't rocket science, but they make a big difference.
My hope for the future of Carter Cattle Company is that it will continue to grow and continue to improve the resources that we have been blessed to care for. The saying is, we just borrow it from the next generation, and it's so true. We've got to take care of this place so that it can take care of us and the next generation and the next generation and the next generation.
Now, if you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Stewardship Award winners, see photos and videos, or even learn how to nominate someone for the award, visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. And now, we want to take a minute and acknowledge the passing of a member of the Corteva family. Charlie Hart, a range and pasture development specialist, recently lost his battle with cancer. Dr. Hart spent more than a decade with Corteva, helping to evaluate experimental herbicides, launch new products, and develop different uses for current products. His primary emphasis was in brush and weed control, and he provided sales reps, distributor partners, and applicators with technical support and training. The Texas native appeared on Cattlemen to Cattlemen several times, and his passion for Corteva and the beef industry was easy to see. Here's his friend and coworker Benny Martinez with some thoughts on Charlie.
So Charlie Hart was a colleague, a friend, a mentor, and a huge advocate in the space of range and pasture. He was a great steward. He was a great individual. He was also a loved family member that truly loved his family, and he also was a man of God. We certainly miss Charlie. His legend lives on through the work that he's done over the years and the many lives that he's touched with his inspiration, his mentorship, and his friendship. Charlie's left a great legacy, and we miss him dearly.
By installing Ritchie waterers, you save water while keeping it fresh and always available to your animals. You protect the land by keeping natural water clean and soil healthy. And you conserve power because they're energy efficient. We're committed to helping you create a prosperous, sustainable, and regenerative future. Because we know, like you know, that every saved drop matters. Ritchie, fresh water for life.
Welcome back as we wrap up our program here at Corteva Agriscience in Indianapolis. Damon, we've had a great day, but I guess I have one last question for you, and that is, ultimately, what differentiates Corteva?
Kevin, I think it comes down to two things. reinvestment, and then the long look. So we understand that producers have a lot of choices when they walk in and look at a shelf of products and technologies. When they buy a Corteva product, they can really count on the fact that we are reinvesting in new technology as well as the industry. So every day we invest nearly $4 million in research and development, and that's bringing new products and technologies for farmers and ranchers in the future. The other thing we do is we reinvest in the industry, whether it's organizations like NCBA, award programs like ESAP, local cattlemen's associations. We take a portion of our investment and we put it back into the industry. And that's important to us as we go forward and support cattlemen across the country. The long look really comes down to the fact that a new herbicide or a new technology today takes over a decade to develop and to get onto the market. So we've got to have that long look and that dedication to solve problems in the future for cattle producers around the world. We also take great pride in the fact that we actually have seats at tables that maybe farmers and ranchers don't. And it's important for Corteva, and we do this on a regular basis, to advocate for what's really going on the farm and ranch, and how farmers and ranchers are really part of the environmental solution, not part of the problem. And that's a big part of what we do in Corteva, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Latin America, or here in the US. We like to represent those producers because we know the advancements that they're making.
Well, on behalf of all beef cattle producers, I want to say thank you for your reinvestment in our industry, your advocacy, and certainly your ongoing commitment to the beef cattle industry. Most importantly, thank you for hosting us today. It's been a wonderful day.
But you're welcome, Kevin. It's been our pleasure to host you, but also for all the things we do to reinvest in the cattle industry.
Now, if you want the latest pasture management advice delivered right to your inbox, as well as valuable information on Corteva tools and products to help control weeds and brush, you can sign up at the website keepsteward.com/C2C. That wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks to the team at Corteva for hosting us, and thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.